The United Kingdom has passed the online safety bill, and this bill has massive repercussions for not just the UK, but the entire world in terms of censorship of the internet and what it will require companies to do, which is absolutely unprecedented in the entire world in terms of both censorship and in terms of violating your privacy and freedom of speech. We're going to get into what this bill is, what it does, and three ways, the three biggest risks that it really faces to your rights, civil liberties, and freedom of expression. Of course, I am Andrew Esquire, and I am an American attorney. This is the legal mindset where we teach you to be your own judge. Now, full disclaimer, of course, I do not practice in jolly old England. I am neither a barrister nor a solicitor barred within England, but I am a person who can read the English language, and I have actually gone through the entire breadth of the 300-page online safety bill as it was passed, as it was adopted today, just waiting on royal assent, waiting on the king to give it his blessing, which of course he will, and pass that on into full adoption as legislation. So let's talk about what this is. Now, this is something that was really pushed through on the premise of protecting children. Of course, we always do it for the children, right? It's always for the kids. But don't let that fool you. This is not about children at all. In fact, this bill is pretty much entirely going to regulate the behavior of companies and adults in that company, adults interacting with that company. Most platforms already had prohibitions protecting children to the extent that are required in this bill. But what is new and unprecedented is the level of censorship they will be able to bring all across the internet, and as well as an invasion of your privacy. So who is covered by this? Well, every single internet service or peer-to-peer, user-to-user service that can operate within the UK is subject to this act. So this isn't just things like, for example, Twitter and Facebook and, Meta, whatever else, Instagram, TikTok. No, it's not just those type of companies. This includes things like text messaging, like Apple Messages, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal. All of these things will be subject to this regulation because they're end-to-end and deal with sending messages from one place to another. And the act makes very clear that it does cover SMS messages, text messages, and even end-to-end encrypted messages, which brings us to the very first issue, and that is the violation of your privacy. So this act actually makes it a criminal offense and can place people in the company under arrest and with significant penalties if they do not de-encrypt your messages. Now, what's the standard? Well, if the bureaucracy, if the UK government requests that they decrypt it, they've got to decrypt it. And they can do that for a broad swath of reasons, including just vaguely labeling it at the supposed information as harmful, saying, well, we think there may be some harmful text messages, so decrypt them for us. And if you don't do that, you're going to jail. This is an extreme violation of privacy. This is an extreme violation of the business's sort of contract with the end users. I mean, these app platforms, WhatsApp, Telegram, they all say, hey, we're end-to-end encrypted. We can't be overturned. Signal can't be read, can't be intercepted. That's the advantage of using those platforms. But nope, now they're saying, nope, there's a back end. You've got to have a back end in order to operate in the UK, or you simply cannot operate in the UK. So all of those messages that you think are encrypted, if you're sending them from the UK, you have to assume actually the UK can decrypt them and will decrypt them whenever they want. The second thing is censorship. And the first part of the censorship wheel I want to bring up is specifically information as it relates to women and girls. Now, of course, we can be very thoughtful and caring about all sorts of different groups, but this bill goes out of the way to specify, to rule out that platforms have an affirmative duty to protect their users from content that is harmful to women and girls. What do I think of immediately when I think of that? I think of red pill manosphere type content. I think of things like people like Andrew Tate or Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast, Pearl Davis, who's over there in jolly old England. Well, don't be surprised if Pearl is now blocked in her country of birth, in her home country, because, hey, that's harmful to women and girls. Any information that can be perceived as harmful to women and girls needs to be blocked under this bill. It's not just something that actively discriminates, it's actually a proportionate effect. So anything that disproportionately affects, we've seen these proportionality tests, anything that impacts women or girls, it's got to go off the platform. So you're going to see a mass silencing of anybody who dares speak up and say, you know what, maybe we need to think about men. Maybe we need to think about men and the troubles that they face. Nope, silenced, because that is bigotry, misogyny, that is horrible, horrible behavior. So you're going to see a mass silencing of anybody who would be an advocate for men, and you're going to see anybody who is a critic of feminism, critic of the modern movements, maybe radical feminism, maybe the radical movement regarding gender, as they call it, reaffirmation in the bill. Yeah, that's all banned. That's all banned. So you're going to see a mass silencing of anybody out of the UK who wants to say anything about gender issues, about men and women, about these cultural issues, which are very vital and important, which need to be talked about, discussed, debated. That's actually quintessential to our moving forward as a culture, to talk about how to resolve these issues. We're no longer going to be able to do that on the internet. And third, there is a broad category of what they call disinformation and misinformation. Now, mind you, they've actually specifically exempted the BBC and the national broadcasting corporations. They've specifically exempted them from ever being held liable for anything they put out there that is disinformation or misinformation. They are free at the BBC to publish as much disinformation and misinformation as possible. However, if your platform does it, you're going to be punished criminally. They're going to go after you for doing that criminally. And this is something that we've seen. We've seen the EU trying to go after Elon Musk, saying X is now a platform for misinformation and Russian propaganda, despite the fact that, hey, I think it was X that called out Canada for actually putting up a Nazi, a legitimate Nazi, and a member of the Waffen SS, and, you know, clapping for him. Yeah, that's going to be called Russian propaganda, and that's going to be called hate speech, whatever else, because it's fact-checking reality. We've gotten to a point where anything that dares to question the narrative, for example, the Ukraine narrative, is ruled as Russian propaganda, disinformation, and misinformation. And that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to crack down on that. They're going to crack down on anything that dares go against a pandemic part 2, for example. Anything that goes against the narrative, the established narrative, can be cracked down on. They have the full ability to criminally punish platforms that go after that. Now, how are they going to get away with this? Well, what they're going to get away with is they're going to say, well, we're only punishing the platforms. We're not punishing the people, we're punishing the platforms for not following the regulation. This is a very much roundabout way to take away your rights. They're going to be able to say, no. As an individual, you can say it, you just can't say it online. So therefore, things that you can say fully legally in person will now be illegal online, or really through any digital platform. Text message, video message. Hell, you won't even be able to record it and send it to anybody online at all. The only thing you can do is go in person. And actually, the funny thing is, some of the things you'll say in person will need to be censored by the media. The media will have a duty to censor you out, to block you out, to stifle and hide your speech. This is dangerous. And for the UK, this is an absolute death knell for their freedom of speech and their freedom of expression, and really the entry of a censorship state a la 1984, V for Vendetta, and all of those dystopian films. Guys, this really does frighten me, and I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Please make sure to leave a comment on the video. Let me know, are you guys in the UK? What do you think about this bill? Is this something you knew about, or something that's a surprise? I really want to know that here today. And of course, we will stay on top of this and be bringing you more on the legal mindset. Until next time, peace.